If you're just joining us, and for those of you who don't know me, my name is Judy and I'm a Canadian Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today we are going to make this card right here. This is a step-up version, step-up card from the video I posted last time, not too long ago. So it's using the same pretty much materials and whatnot and a bit more from the card that we created last time. So if you haven't seen this video yet, I'll post a link below and you can feel free to check it out. This is the more simple version it's great for our beginners and it uses very little supplies. And this is a stepped up version if you feel like challenging yourself. So yeah, let's check it out. Okay, before we begin, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Feel free to leave a comment below on what you think and what you want to see more of. Don't forget to also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Judy Lee Creations. You can also shop with me at judylee.stampinup.net and use my April Hostess code for this month. If you place an order before the end of the month, I will send you a complimentary card in the mail. You must live in Canada to be eligible. And you can visit my blog at judyleecreations.ca. So let's get started. So to create this card, you will need some materials. Some of the materials are similar to the other card that we created not too long ago, which is this card here. If you haven't seen this video, I will link below in the description, link to this video. You will need some ribbon. So I am using the classic weave ribbon that's in Crumb Cake. Happy Tales stamp set. The ink pads that we would be using are the same ones. It's Tuxedo Memento Tuxedo Black, Smoky Slate, and Crumb Cake. We will also be using some dimensionals. So the dimensionals are pretty much double-sided adhesive foam tape, some acrylic blocks for your stamps, a bone folder to burnish your score lines to make it more, I guess, prettier, mini glue dots, snail adhesive. So snail adhesive is pretty much just tape runner. Some Stampin' Up! Blends. So their Stampin' Up! Blends are pretty much alcohol-based markers. So they're very similar to other brands as long as they're alcohol-based markers or any other coloring tool that you would prefer. We would be using this to color in the dog. Or if you were to do the Dalmatian spots on the dog, you wouldn't really need the color blends. So this is the light and dark of Crumb Cake. And one thing I like about the Stampin' Up! Blends is that it's double tipped. So one side is the fine point tip, like the bullet point tip. I believe that's what they're called. And the other side, it's the brush-like tip. So that's good for coloring bigger areas. Okay, some measurements. So when I went through my stash to pre-cut this for the video, I kind of goofed and realized that I didn't realize that I've used up all of my early Espresso cardstock. So this card that we're making today, the steps and process are all the same. The color coding the colors might be a bit off and a little bit different. So we will see. The bright side is that Stampin' Up! is great at coordinating their colors and their products. So who knows? At the end of the video, we'll see which one you like better. So let's continue with the measurements. So this is early Espresso. This will be the card base. It is at 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. We will score this in half at 4.25 inches. Then we have Crumb Cake at 4 inches by 5.25 inches. Following that, we have the basic gray. I've substituted the early Espresso to the basic gray. This one, it is cut to, let's see my measurements here, 4 inches by 2 3/4. Any designer series papers that you have lying around that you want to use for the project, these could be swapped out. As you can see in this card, I've used this wooden pattern, and this time I'm opting for a darker one. Let's see how this one turns out. This one is cut at 4 inches and 2.5 inches. So 4 inches, 2.5 inches. Another basic gray cardstock cut at 3 inches by 2.5. I'll put all the measurements in the description below, so just in case, because I know this is a lot. We also need Crumb Cake at 2 3/4 by 2 1/4 inch, and a Whisper White cardstock at 2.5 inch by 2 inch. You will also need some scrap Whisper White cardstock. This is where we're gonna punch out the circle for the sentiments. And I had this little piece of early espresso left over for the scallops, so I'll use this scrap piece. A few more tools that you will need is the circle punch. The circle punch is 1 1/4 inch. And a scallop punch at 1 3/8 inch circle scalloped. And for the inside, you'll need an insert. So you could use either white cardstock or you could use plain printer, laser paper. I cut it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Okay, so I think that is all the measurements. So let's get started. Just gonna put this at the side here. So let's start with the card base. I'm just gonna get my paper trimmer here, and we are going to score it. So the scoring is the light one at 4 1/4. Okay. Then you're gonna fold it, and I'm gonna use my bone folder to burnish it. So pretty much press down with some pressure. You're trying to get that fold there. Now, make sure it's open to the right side, and I'll leave that aside for now. Now let's do this part here, the border and the designer series paper. So the short form for designer series paper, if you hear people mentioning it, is DSP. And actually, I don't think I showed you the pack that I got the designer series paper from. I believe it's already retired, but I got it. It's called the Wood Textures 6x6 Designer Series paper. So it has all the different wood textures and stuff. And I figured since I bought it already and I haven't used it, it would be nice to, you know, use on my projects. I am convinced I have 2 separate hobbies. One hobby is actually making the crafts, and the second hobby is actually hoarding and purchasing crafts supplies. Sometimes the things are just too beautiful. I don't want to cut it up. Okay, so let's use the snail adhesive to adhere this to this. So it will sit flush to one side and thin border to the top and bottom. So left and right sits flush, and top and bottom gets that little gray border. Set that aside for now. Let's do our stamping. So let's stamp our footprints. So we're gonna stamp our footprints in smoky slate. Now there's no right or wrong here. Stamp however you like. It's just to add interest to the background. I think I'm going to stamp a pathway. So it's like the dog's walking across the paper. You could go straight, diagonal, crisscrossy. Let's see if I could redo that. There you go. Most of it is going to get covered up anyway. And then let's add some here. Let's go this direction. Oops. So this card was actually inspired by a card sketch I actually saw online. And I figured, oh, well, what stamp set can I apply this to and then create my own design? So card sketches are really good for, you know, sparking some creativity. If you feel like creating a card, but you're at that creative block, you know, just Google up or search up card sketches, and that gives you a layout to follow, and then choose your preferred stamp set, and voila, you follow the card sketch and it comes out to a beautiful card. Okay, so let's adhere this to the base. Snail adhesive. You can tell I'm clearly still not used to being on camera. Okay. So again, you can measure for exact, but I am eyeballing it. Now let's adhere this one down. I want it to be a bit lower. Do it here, because what's gonna happen is our dog's gonna be here. Oh, we forgot to stamp the dog. Well, you know. Okay, let's put that aside and stamp the dog. I'm all over the place. Crafting has kept me sane during these times, you know. Okay. Otherwise, I'd probably just be binge watching Netflix all day. Okay. I'd like to know what's keeping you guys busy these times, you know, staying in at home. Can't go anywhere. Okay, so how we're going to color this dog. So I'm going to start off with the Crumb Cake Dark. And what I'm going to do is pretty much go in the areas I think would have shadows. And, you know, these spots here on the dog, I just go over it with the dark. And his belly most likely is going to be darker, so I just fill that in a bit. His legs down here. I like to use the bullet tip for this because it gives me more control. I tend to use the brush tip more when I am coloring larger areas. I think his bum would be here. More shadow. Maybe his ears. A bit more here. Okay. And then let's go in with the light. So one thing I really love about the blends is that, you know, it legit blends so well. So it makes your coloring look a lot nicer. I mean, I'm not the best colorer or colorists in the world, but this blend makes it look more and more professional. You see, you barely see the streaks. And even if you do see the streaks, you can always go over it again and then it blends it all in and covers up the streaks. Gotta make sure to stay in the lines. See how nicely it blends out the lines that I colored? So if you're using blends, which is alcohol-based markers, you gotta remember to use a water-based ink to stamp it, and the Memento ink is good for that, so it doesn't bleed or blemish. Otherwise, if you use, you know, the incorrect, if you notice that your coloring is bleeding in, so all the black lines are like melting into the color, it might be due to your ink pads or the type of ink that you're using, so be mindful of that. Okay, let's adhere this to this. Oh, silly me. So Stampin' Up! Does have a lot of items on, what do you call it? In the clearance section right now at the moment, and a lot of last chance items. Some of them are on sale and some of them are a steal. So they're going quite quickly. If you are at all interested at, you know, getting crafting supplies at a fraction of the price and keeping yourself busy stamping and stuff during this time, feel free to check it out. You can pretty much go to judylee.stampinup.net, click shop now, and then click into the last chance section and the clearance section. You'll see a lot of items there. I've placed quite a few orders, and I'm still waiting for some of them to ship. Some of them I've received already, and some of them are still in shipping. Let's see. So I want to place this somewhere about here, and this goes about here. Doesn't look too bad with the gray. So, I mean, I guess me running out of early Espresso cardstock, it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because now you can see a different option of the card and see which one you like better. So I'm just lining this up with the grid paper underneath here. And then we're gonna adhere the dog. I want it to go right about there. Let's see here. Okay, let's see what else. Just for you. Did I mention I love puns? So I actually like that saying, just for you. Sometimes I would just want to buy something because of the puns. Okay, so I'm just gonna stamp this here. Close this up before it gets everywhere. Oh, I had a piece of there. See, it's a good thing. Each cardstock has two sides, right? Two sides to every paper. So no one can tell. If you screwed up once, you still have a second shot. Oh, and I kind of stamped a bit too low. I should have punched it out first. Okay, I'm gonna punch it out first. Let's see. I want the sentiment centered, so let's re-stamp this. Just for you. Okay, now we're gonna punch this out with the scallop punch. Oops, on the early espresso leftover that I had. Who else has a stash of like little scraps laying around? Let's see how that looks before we adhere it. Oh, that kind of blends into the DSP. So you know what? I'm gonna switch it out for the crumb cake. Let's see if that looks better. That might stand out more. Improvise, right? So I just repunched the scallop punch out of crumb cake. Yeah, I think that stands out more. So I'll save that early espresso for next time. I'm gonna adhere this to the crumb cake. Okay, now we're gonna add dimensionals to this so it stands up. I have that mini one there, so let's just use it before I lose it. Let's just stick it in there. It's kind of a little overkill, but oh well. I don't want to end up losing that little piece. Okay. So, stick that there. Almost done. So we need the bow. Now, this is my weakness. Let's see if I can tie a proper bow. I love bows on cards. I just suck at tying a really good one. Well, I struggle, I should say. Struggle quite a bit. And now you're gonna see me struggle on camera. Because I want it to be a pretty bow. Oh, I think I got it. Yay! Okay, so let's use my ribbon scissors and chop this side off. I like to chop at an angle. I think this one's a bit too long. This side. Okay. Yes, so I have different scissors for different purposes. I have one for my adhesives, I have one for my ribbon, so that it stays sharp, because my adhesives one gets dull pretty quickly. And I mean, if it gets dull or sticky, at least I wouldn't feel as bad. So this is another tip that I have for you. I pretty much wrapped around an elastic band around the mini glue dots roll so that this part doesn't go wild, and then I could just pull it back whenever I need. Put a glue dot on the ribbon and adhere it to the card. And I want it just there. Okay, almost done, guys, almost done. Now the inside. So this is where our little paper comes in handy. And what's our sentiment in here? Best friend leaves a paw print on your heart. I think that's cute. So let's ink it up. Okay, and I'm gonna try to align it as best as I can. Sorry if my head's getting in the way, I don't know if it is. Let's put it up here. Haha. Now let's add some paw prints with some smoky slate. Side. Paw print time. I'm just gonna go off the page, you know, wherever you feel like stamping it. Just gonna go across the diagonal like that, so that we could still write in the card as well. Doesn't have to be perfect, you know, because you know dogs don't really walk perfectly. Okay, put this away and let's adhere to the card. Now, one thing that I forgot to tell you is if you are planning to sell your finished cards, you do need to follow Stampin' Up's angel policy. Oops, see, too busy talking. And use their Stampin' Up copyright logo image. I'll show you that in a sec. If you're just giving it away and you're not selling it, you don't need to. Every card that I do, I tend to put a handmade by Judy Lee and then the Stampin' Up copyright stamp. That is, let me get the catalog and show you. It is, let's see if I can find it. They have 1 or 2 stamp sets, I believe, that actually has the angel policy stamp set. One of the set is actually retiring and it's on sale in the last chance section. This is also why I'm bringing it up. I believe there was a set called Make a Difference. So let me just find that. Make a Difference. Here. 158. You know, I love the annual catalog because even though the things are, if some products are expiring and whatnot, the catalog shows, you know, examples and ideas and everything. So these are the 2 stamp sets that has the, where is it? Here, copyright Stampin' Up. So if you're selling your card, you need to have this stamp set that's included in both of these. Only in these 2 stamp sets. This set is actually in the last chance section. This one is carrying over because it's not in there. And that's that. That's only if you're selling your finished cards. And there you have it, guys. 2 cards. So this is the alternative. As you can see, I changed a bit due to circumstances. So yeah, let me know which one you like better, the original one or the alternative one. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel. And I hope you're all staying safe and healthy and keeping busy. Thanks, guys. Hope to see you soon. Bye.